Good morning. Here is the news at 11 on Premier FM 93.5. First, the headlines. Over 200 evacuated citizens arrived Nigeria from South Africa. U.S. strikes kill 3 Indian sailors. 2022 FIFA World Cup kicks off today. What happened this day in history? Find out in our Lest We Forget segment. Heart of the matter is on dangers inherent in the purchase of recycled SIM cards. You can track us on www.radionigeriaibadan.gov.ng, X, Instagram and Facebook at PFM935 Ibadan. My name is Emilia Ujimudia. Now the details of the news. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Shola Enikonolaye, will today receive 268 Nigerians evacuated from South Africa following recent xenophobic attacks in the country. In a statement signed by the spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Kimiebi Ebienfa, the minister will represent the federal government in receiving the returnees at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. The statement notes that the Acting High Commissioner of Nigeria in Pretoria, Ambassador Alexander Ajayi, will escort the first batch to Nigeria and formally hand them over to the minister. According to the statement, the ministry also disclosed that the ongoing screening for Nigerians willing to voluntarily return home due to the xenophobic attacks had been extended to next Sunday to accommodate more affected persons. The federal government has grounded a private aircraft and suspended its operator's permit following a dramatic incident in which the aircraft made an emergency landing on a road under construction near Asaba, the Delta State capital, and later departed without regulatory clearance. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, disclosed the development in a statement posted on his X account, describing the incident as a serious breach of aviation regulations and security protocols. According to him, the aircraft carried out a missed approach while attempting to land at Asaba Airport before diverting and landing on a concrete road under construction in the Ogwashuku area of the state. He said a witness account reports confirmed that that all the 4 crew members on board safely exited the aircraft and were later transported to Asaba by road with no injuries recorded. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Oyo State has called on political parties and political actors to embrace transparency, internal democracy and peaceful conduct as the state gradually prepares for the 2027 general election. The appeal was made by the resident electoral commissioner in the state, Professor Adeniro Tella, during a stakeholders meeting held at the INEC state headquarters, Agodi, Ibadan. Addressing participants at the gathering, Professor Tella described the period as a critical stage in the electoral process, saying all stakeholders must work collectively to ensure the conduct of free, fair and credible elections in Oyo State. He explained that the Commission monitored the political parties' primaries in line with the Electoral Act and the guidelines issued by INEC, noting that the exercise commenced on the 16th of last month and ended on the 30th of the same month. He, however, disclosed that only 19 political parties conducted primaries and produced candidates for the governorship, Senate, House of Representatives and House of Assembly elections. According to Professor Tella, youths account for nearly 70% of the new registrants captured so far in the ongoing exercise, thereby urging eligible residents who were yet to register to take advantage of the exercise before the deadline. The National Coordinator of the Federal Workers' Forum, Mr. Andrew Emilize, has called on the federal government to fully implement the 70,000 naira minimum wage, citing the worsening living conditions of federal civil servants across the country. Mr. Emilize made the call in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, during a news conference organized by the Coalition Against Insecurity. He alleged that the federal government had only approved a flat 40,000 naira consequential adjustment to salaries rather than fully implementing the new minimum wage structure. Mr. Emelize further claimed that several allowances and other components of the wage package were yet to be implemented, a situation he said has increased the financial burden on workers. According to him, many federal civil servants now depend on loans to meet basic needs as the cost of living continues to rise. He also said the head of the Civil Service of the Federation had earlier assured workers that a 40% peculiar allowance would take effect from the 1st of May, but noted that the promise has yet to be fulfilled.
That is not just the issues of minimum wage, that we expect a living wage. It's gotten to a situation whereby they need to come and see the living conditions of workers. We are talking about assistant directors, deputy directors coming to work with Okada, living in shanty areas, not finding it easy to survive. And if you have such situations, productivity cannot be the in thing. And so government this time around, let them implement fully the 70,000 naira minimum wage and also work towards giving us a new living wage.
Mr. Emelize warned that continued concerns without solutions over workers' welfare could affect morale and productivity in the public service. A human rights group under the banner of the Coalition Against Insecurity has expressed concern over the continued wave of kidnappings and other security challenges across the country, calling for more decisive action to safeguard lives and property. The spokesperson for the coalition, Mr. Abiodun Bamigboye, met the call in Ibadan during a news conference organized by the group. Mr. Bamigboye said many Nigerians continue to live in fear as incidents of abduction, banditry, and other criminal activities persist in several parts of the country. He urged the federal government and security agencies to strengthen their response to security challenges and ensure that citizens can go about their legitimate activities without fear.
To express our dissatisfaction against the worsening state of insecurity in Nigeria, come June 12th, that this coalition has decided to march on the street.
Mr. Bamigboye also called for swift action towards the rescue of persons currently being held captive by kidnappers. He maintained that the coalition would continue to advocate for the freedom of abducted Nigerians until they are safely reunited with their families. You are on to the news at 11 here on Premier FM 93.5 from the stable of Radio Nigeria. We'll be back in a moment. We're glad to know you're still with us. Now, on this day in 1994, Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, popularly known as MKO, declared himself president at Ekpetedo, Lagos, and was subsequently arrested for treason by General Sani Abacha's regime. And now to the rest of the stories. And on the foreign scene, 3 Indian sailors who were reported missing have been killed after the U.S. military struck a tanker in the Gulf of Oman. The Gulf came under attack after the U.S. military accused it of not complying with directions from American forces. According to reports, there were 24 Indian crewmen on board, of which 21 were rescued. In a post on X, India's shipping minister, Sarbananda Sonowal, called the incident deeply unfortunate, adding that the bodies of the 3 men would soon be retrieved. In the meantime, following the strike, the Indian government had summoned the deputy head of the U.S. mission in Delhi. The 2026 FIFA World Cup will kick off today. This year's edition, which is the 23rd, is jointly hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. For the first time, 48 teams will be participating in the World Cup, featuring 10 African countries. One of the host nations, Mexico, will be slugging it out with South Africa at the Estadio Azteca in the first game of the tournament at 8 o'clock tonight. Be security conscious and report any suspicious movement to the appropriate quarters. Now let's bring you Heart of the Matter, which is on dangers inherent in the purchase of recycled SIM cards. It is written by Elizabeth Idubi of our translations unit.
Phone numbers are often considered the trust anchor for end-user accounts. In some cases, a user's valid phone number is their username. But what happens when the very phone numbers that are used to verify and keep end users secure are given up, recycled, and assigned to a new person? Phone number recycling is the term that refers to the event when deactivated or disconnected number gets reassigned to someone else. In most cases, the new owner of a phone number is now tied to the account that the former owner linked to that same number, thereby providing access to someone else's account. The practice of reselling of SIM cards in the country has become a matter of concern that requires urgent attention from stakeholders in the telecommunications sector. One major reason stakeholders should address this issue is the increasing threat of identity theft and fraud. Many phone numbers are linked to bank accounts, mobile money services, social media accounts, and government identification system. There have been reports of someone buying a new SIM card and have access to the financial records of the former owner of the SIM, since the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) allows network providers to recycle phone numbers that have been inactive and have not carried out any revenue-generating event over a period. What this means is that the new registered user of an improperly recycled phone number could start receiving debit and credit alerts of the previous user. New users also risk being arrested if they purchase SIM cards with phone numbers that have been used for kidnapping, fraud, and other offenses. For instance, the Department of State Services (DSS) arrested and detained Diamond Opo's father after it was linked to a SIM card he bought in Lagos, which was later found to have been previously used by kidnappers. Also, recently, a lady cried out on social media that the SIM card she bought has been under surveillance as kidnappers used it for transaction before she bought after due investigation. The practice also affects businesses and organizations who often use phone numbers for customer communication, authentication, and service delivery. Reassigning old numbers without proper notification can result in misdirected messages, data leaks, and disruptions in business operations. Furthermore, the reselling of used SIM cards can create challenges for law enforcement agencies, as accurate subscriber identification is essential for tracking criminal activities and ensuring national security. Improper SIM card recycling may complicate investigations and hinder efforts to combat crimes such as kidnapping, fraud, and cybercrime. To address these challenges, stakeholders included the Nigerian Communications Commission, telecommunications operators, financial institutions, security agencies, and consumer protection groups should strengthen regulations governing SIM card deactivation and reissuance. Telecom operators need to ensure that sufficient waiting periods are observed before reassigning numbers and that all personal data associated with former users is completely removed. Public awareness must also be adopted to educate subscribers on the need to update their records and unlink dormant phone numbers from sensitive accounts. Addressing the reselling of used SIM cards is essential for protecting consumers, enhancing cybersecurity, safeguarding personal information, and strengthening national security. A coordinated effort by all stakeholders will help build a safer and more reliable telecommunications ecosystem in the country.
That script on dangers inherent in the purchase of recycled SIM cards was written by Elizabeth Idugbe of our translations unit and read by Stephen Agbaji. To end the news at 11 here on Premier 93.5. Here's a recap of the stories. Minister of State for Foreign Affairs Ambassador Shola Enikolayi will today receive 268 Nigerians evacuated from South Africa following recent xenophobic attacks in the country. Three Indian sailors who were reported missing have been killed after the U.S. military struck a tanker in the Gulf of Oman. And in sport, we told you that the 2026 FIFA World Cup will kick off today. This year's edition, which is the 23rd, is jointly hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. To end, that ends the news at 11, as put together by Olushi Olarinde. My name is Emilia Ojimudia, thanking you for your time. Next is the translation in Yoruba, Akojopo Iroyin, and Ambassador Aditayo is our guide.